Welcome to Ken's Corner Podcast, Season 2. It's time. Are you ready? Now here we go with your host, Ken Judge.
"24 hommes, 24 men, 10 women, 10 femmes, 4 galas de lutte, 4 wrestling events, 3 personnes gagnantes, 3 winners, une compétition incomparable, one incomparable competition." Lutte Académie de Jacques Rougeau a couronné une femme et 2 hommes lors de la finale du 17 septembre 2023 au Club Soda de Montréal. Jacques Rougeau's Wrestling Academy crowned 1 woman and 2 men during the September 17, 2023 finals at Montreal's Club Soda. Congratulations to, félicitations à Sean Moore, Kat Von Heath, Clutch Jesse V. The Lion Warrior Bobby Sharp has also been invited to train at the Lard Bear Factory. Grâce à nos commanditaires, chacun gagne une bourse de $10,000. With the help of our sponsors, each wins $10,000 et 3 mois au and 3 months at the Lard Bear Factory. Merci à Jacques et à Nathalie, à Cutie Marshall et à toutes celles et à tous ceux qui ont fait partie de Lutte Académie de Jacques Rougeau 2023. Get ready for next year. It will be bigger. It will be better. Préparez-vous pour l'an prochain. Ce sera plus grand et ce sera plus spectaculaire.
Hi, everyone. I'm very excited. I'm back online with my friend Jacques Rougeau The Mountie, and we're going to talk a little bit about Wrestling Academy 2023. But first, Jacques, I want to congratulate you for entering the Hall of Fame, the Project X Hall of Fame. Now, can you tell us how that felt?
That felt absolutely awesome. DC Netman and Magnum, McLaren's father, and they got this wrestling out of Sudbury. It's called Project X Wrestling, and they decided to create a Hall of Fame, and they decided to induct me, the first Canadian, into it, and it was like such an honor because I feel like the Rougeau name has been long waiting to be in the Hall of Fame, and for me, humbly saying it didn't make no sense that the Rougeau name across Canada wasn't in the Hall of Fame. And so when they brought it up to me and they offered it to me, I said, "Hey, I'm getting into this just for thinking of my great uncle Eddie Auger, my uncle Johnny Rougeau, my father Jacques Rougeau, my brother Raymond, Arma, my kids, my 3 sons that wrestled. We wrestled for over 75 years." 4 generations of the Rougeau family. So when I went to get the honor, to be honest with you, Ken, I picked it up for the whole family. It wasn't my honor, but it was the Rougeau family that was inducted, and I'm just the one who went to get the trophy there.
That's amazing. It's very amazing. The next up, I believe, should be the WWE. So I'm hoping that's coming to you and your brother Raymond real soon.
Well, I got to be honest with you. There's some things I don't understand in life, and that's one of them. That the fabulous Rougeau brothers, or the Mountie, or Rick Martel, or there's so many Canadians that that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame that are not there, and help to create what the WWE is today. And then personally, the Quebecers with Carl Ouellet. I spent like 10 years in the WWF, entertaining the people around the world, and everybody that I've worked with. Angles and storylines, they're all in the Hall of Fame, but it takes 2 to tangle. And it's like to create a great Batman, you need a good Joker in a movie, and it's the same thing in wrestling. If you have a good hero, you better have a good villain. And I think that I filled those shoes for 10 years, and it would be an honor for them, for WWE, for Vince McMahon to put his feelings aside there of me and him, because I don't think someone should be inducted in the Hall of Fame for his personal relationship with the boss, but more with what he did for the company and for professional reasons.
I agree 100%, 100%. Now, I actually attended, we're going to switch over a little bit and talk about Wrestling Academy 2023, if you don't mind. I actually attended the first one, May 7th. I did make a little bit of noise there with my signs. I understand I won't bring them back next time. I will be back. But it was a very exciting night. I had lots of fun. And can you just tell us how the progression went from that exciting first opening night until where you ended up in the finals?
It was amazing, Ken, from going from the 7th of May for like 34 participants, and half of those participated in the 7th of May, and then the other half for the quarterfinals appeared on the 4th of June. And then on the 20th of August, the best of the 7th May met the best of the 4th of June. So the talent got bigger, and it got the best stayed with the competition, and then to arrive on the 17th of September last week for a tremendous finals, absolute great show, which is going to be on the air in probably about 4 or 5 days from now. It's going to be on wrestling-academy.ca on the website, lutteacademy.ca, and you'll be able to put that under the bottom there of the screen, I'm sure, Ken, where people are going to be able to go see all the quarterfinals and the semifinals, but they gotta go see the finals. What a show that was! I mean, it was absolutely incredible. My brother Raymond was there commentating with me and Jeremy Prophet, and QT Marshall commentating a little bit, while he was also defending his AAA Latin American title against Bobby Sharp, a guy that was eliminated earlier in the competition, and he also brought Harley Cameron, and who's with QTV, and she's a major star now, and she came to wrestle Relentless Riley Rose in on non-competition match there, and it was just amazing. The fans were the ones that were spoiled the most. It was a sold-out place. The atmosphere was incredible. The matches were incredible. QT Marshall delivered what you call a masterpiece. And the fun part of all that, too, it was my son that was refereeing, Emil. So my Emil started refereeing in the semifinals and the finals. And what a great referee he is. So you'll be able to all see this on the tube. But the Crown 3 winners like that for $10,000. And then they're all going to the Nightmare Factory again this year, to be trained by Cody Rhodes, Billy Gunn, and QT Marshall. What an opportunity that is for Canadian wrestlers. And but you'd had to be there. But when you see it on your tube there in 4 or 5 days from now, you'll see it and you'll understand it, Ken, more than everybody else, because since you lived the first time, the 7th of May, you know how it works, you know how the atmosphere was. And then so you'll be able to picture yourself there sitting at the same place you were in the first show. But when you see the finals, you're going to see it's absolutely amazing.
Awesome. I actually just want to walk through a few of these matches, if you
For
don't
sure.
mind. I'm going to start with Jesse Bieber and Steve Maines versus Chad Daniels and Sean Moore. Can you just give us a rundown on that and the actual winner out of that match?
Yeah, well, it was something else, but it's funny. It's such an amazing competition because you'll see all kinds of characters, you'll see all kinds of pressure involved, and you'll see the beginners, how the guys that have less experience, how they, excuse my language, but they choke a little bit, under pressure, and then you'll see the veterans that know how to seize that moment, and Jesse Bieber. First of all, I got to tell you, I love that guy. I hope he's going to come back again next year. What an entertainer, second generation from the family, and just everywhere. He was actually, there was two that I chose in that match because there was only one coming out of that match. There was 4 participants and there was only one that was being chosen. And between the two that I had chosen in my mind, Jesse Bieber was one of them. Just great with charisma, and reminded me a lot of the fabulous Rougeau brothers doing the things behind the referee's back where people were really getting upset because they know the referee didn't see it and they were getting really pissed off at them. He did a great job. And then, I'm thinking of Sean Moore, who came out there and won that match and was chosen. But man, he came out there and fight me with an attitude of fight me, and he just came out there and he took control of that ring in the first minutes of and just the way he appeared in the ring with his determination, and he always had that determination. He's a real pro. He has a real chance of making it in the big leagues. I do believe so. And then you had a guy like Stephen Maines from Montreal, representing Montreal, which did absolutely great. Stephen Maines, it's a question of who you like and who you don't like in that, because QT Marshall was the one choosing. Stephen Maines did a nice and a beautiful job. So I'm sure he'll be back next year wanting, because when you come so close to the finals like that and you don't make it, then he could have been chosen. He really could have. The one that I was A little disappointed, to be honest with you, and it's not because he didn't try or nothing. He was nervous. As Chad Daniels, and Chad Daniels was his second year, and he made the semifinals last year, and then he went all the way to the finals this year. But he got too nervous. Something happened. His Jacques Rougeau drop kicks that were in the face, they were in the stomach. His jumping on the ropes. His feet were slipping. He was missing a step. He was anticipating too much. He had so much pressure. He put so much pressure on himself to really. And I remember talking to him during the day and a couple of days before that. I said, Chad, your time is counted out there. So you can't just go do your time. You got to make your time worth it. So you got to really go out there. And maybe it's a little bit my fault. Maybe I didn't know he would take the pressure so much like that. So when he came out, he was almost anticipating everything ahead of time, and he was forgetting to do what he was doing at the moment that he was doing it. So he was trying to rush everything and stuff. So unfortunately, he didn't have the best match of his career or the competition, and so he was eliminated. I love the guy, and what a shape he had. His shape had gotten so much better, and I'd seen him in Winnipeg a couple of months ago too when I went to tour, because I go to tour now out west in different federations just to sign autographs, and he did so well. He looked so good. He was so confident. So I was a little disappointed that things didn't come out good for him. But like I said, Sean Moore and Jesse Bieber they stole the show. But Sean Moore was the one that QT Marshall chose.
That's great. That's great. Okay, we're going to move on to the other men's, the singles match. And that one, I believe, was Brandon the King Knight versus Clutch Jesse.
KB6 against Jesse V.
Yes.
You know, what a match that was. That was just, it was such a match, because the whole time of the match, you'll hear it on the commentaries. When you watch this show, it's going to come out in 3-4 days from now, you'll see that I was caught in the middle. I was caught between it, because Jesse V from last year, he came all the way to the finals and wasn't chosen, and this year make it to the finals again, and so it had to be him. You know, in my book, I was hoping it had to be him, but then I'd see that KB6, who had so much facial expression and wanted it so much and was so good in the ring. So I was going along in the match and going like, holy mackerel, don't tell me it's going to be the second year that Jesse V goes and makes it to the finals and doesn't make it. It was such a close call, and all the way up till the end. When QT Marshall went into the ring, I had no idea. Jesse V's got the body, he's got the moves. KB6, he's just like, he had some gas in his tank. He just kept coming and coming and coming, and facial expressions on the offense, facial expressions on the defense. He was like, he was good. He was really good, and I know that he's going to be there next year for sure. I hope that he will be. But what a talent, KB6. And finally, everybody's dream came true, because Jesse V won the match. And when QT Marshall lifted his hand, and there was like a sympathetic hope for Jesse V there, because, and I remember last year when Jesse V came into the finals, he came in his last match with a pair of jeans on to wrestle. And I remember going to the Nightmare Factory 3 months later after the competition was over to see how the guys were doing there. Matt Black and Chris Dillon, Jeremy Prophet and Jessica Black. I went to stop by to see them. They were the first winners. And when I was talking with QT, he told me, he said, he said that Jesse V says, he really looks good and everything, but he says, come in with a pair of jeans. Like, he had like he has no respect for his gear. Like and this year Jesse V came in with the nice tights, the new boots, and the whole gear. So and the body looked great, the moves looked great. So everybody was happy, and I think QT was most impressed that he was coachable. That the fact that the things that he said to me to tell him, that he did it. He listened, and I think there's nothing more complimentary to a coach or to a teacher to have someone change things that you ask them to do, and Jesse V did that. So I can't wait for Jesse V to go to the Nightmare Factory now, and getting help from Cody Rhodes and Billy Gunn and QT to go finalize the great talent he is, just to polish up that charcoal and make it become a diamond, and then hopefully that he'll have a break somewhere.
Awesome. I actually want to switch it up just for 1 second, because I'm a big Magnum McLaren supporter. I just
So
want
am
to know
I.
if you have, yeah, I want to know if you have any words for Megan McLaren moving forward in his career.
Well, I just hope that Magnum comes back next year. And you know what happened with Magnum this year is what happened with Chad Daniels. And unfortunately, Magnum, what happened with him was the ropes of the ring were a little loose. And so he wasn't used to that kind of loose. Like the ropes should have been a little tighter, I guess. The guys would have had to ask the ropes to be. There's so much things. There's so much rings across Canada, different types of rings. So when you get in a competition like this, you got to feel the ropes out. You got to make sure that. But it just so happened that when Magnum came out, he slipped on his first move. I don't know if you remember that. He went to jump on the ropes and he slipped. And you don't in a competition like this, you don't have a second chance to make a first impression. And so when you come in, the guys are in. There's four guys. I think there was four guys in the ring when he came in, or six maybe. I can't remember.
Six,
But
I believe.
so there were six guys. So if you have the first impression that it's not so good, it's hard to catch up on the other five that they have a better impression or something. So, but I know I've seen him work. I've been to work with him out in Ontario for his dad. I went to sign a few autographs and I did some things and I saw Magnum at his best. I even managed Magnum McLaren one night at one of the shows, and so and I said to myself, in wrestling, there's three things that happen, Ken. And that's important for everybody to know that. You could be as good as you want as a wrestler, but there's three things that are always possible that could happen. That you could have a good night, a bad night, or a hell of a night, like a great, perfect, and extraordinary night. And that night, Magnum didn't have that night. It was just one of those nights that it just wasn't there. But then I saw him wrestle everywhere else, and it was extraordinary. So I'm really hoping that Magnum comes back. And there's nothing wrong with falling in life. What's important is getting back up. And that's where you see the character, and that's what makes a performer much stronger and more respected too. So if Magnum gets back up and comes back next year and checks those ropes before he gets on them, and he doesn't anticipate a little bit like Chad Daniels did this year, I'm hoping that Chad will come back again next year because he's such a great talent, and so is Magnum. They're young kids. They're very young. They have so many years ahead of them. So it's like, and Magnum has so many special things. Magnum has, he has the charisma. He has the push behind him from his family, the support. He's got also the gear. He's got he's got everything. He's got the Magnum army behind him. He's got that fan club of his, and then so I think that Magnum just needs to regroup, and it's a big mental battle. It's there's going to be a lot of pressure on him because when he comes back, he already knows that he failed once. So to surpass that, it takes a hell of a man. So, but if he makes it and he does it, that's to his credit.
Yes. Ken's Corner podcast is definitely part of Magnum's army as he speaks. So it's nice to you to add that part in there. We're going to move on now. I want to talk a little bit about the women's finals with Kat Von Hees and Casey Spinelli.
What a match. What a match. Listen, I helped those guys put their match together on Zoom, and we talked about that match, and it was just amazing. Both girls are incredible wrestlers, and I had a lot of hope for Kat Von Hees because she's just lovable. When you talk with Kat Von Hees, she's just the greatest, and she's been working so hard, and so has Casey Spinelli. She's been working so hard. And so when they came into the match, it's so funny because you'll see this on the tape. It's pretty wild what happened in their match because at the very end, QT Marshall couldn't make a decision. And it's probably my fault because I was putting the commentaries thinking, oh my God, I don't know who QT is going to choose. These both are incredible. I wouldn't choose one. I wouldn't choose the other. And he kept hearing me talk like that the whole match. So was Jeremy Prophet. So was my brother Raymond. So QT was like kind of confused at the end. So he just go in the ring and he lifted both their arms up. And then Casey Spinelli didn't accept the verdict. She wanted one to win. So then I just stepped into the ring and I overpowered everybody, QT and everything. I stepped into the ring and I declared Kat Von Hees the winner. And so there was a little controversial there, but the truth is it would have been great if both would have accepted the win. But Casey Spinelli just wanted to have one winner, and unfortunately it worked against her. but because it's Kat that was chosen with the single win. But what a great performer! Both they performed extraordinary. It was so fun to watch that match. It was like what an honor for girls, you know, like what a credit to girls to wrestle female wrestling to see that match. So I'm very happy for Kat. So now you got Sean Moore, you got Jesse V, and you got the Kat Von Ees that are going to the Nightmare Factory, and then you had that main event match, which was. But let's not jump to the main event yet. Let's go to the Harley Cameron match. I don't know if you follow QTV a little bit there, Ken.
I do, sir.
Do you? I don't. But I so anyway. So I didn't know who she was. You know, until she came to Montreal. My girlfriend knows who she was because she follows it. I don't. So anyway, so long story short is I was so surprised to see what a great performer that she is, Harley Cameron. I thought she was in for the looks. She was in for just, you know, the charisma and stuff. But when she got into the ring with Relentless Riley Rose, who was at her third time, because, you know, there's a story behind Relentless Riley Rose I got to tell you about. When she came in the 7th of May, I think you were there, she was eliminated. And then when we came to the semifinals in August, there was an opening that happened because one of the girls quit for personal reasons. So I turned around and I thought of who could take that place, who was good, who was really the best of the girls so far in the quarterfinals. And I said, Relentless Riley Rose. So we brought her in for the semifinals. So we got into the semifinals on the 20th of August, and she lost again, but by very close. And then finally, when QT Marshall came in the finals and said, hey, the guys are having a bonus, you know, so why don't we give a bonus to the girls also? So I'm going to fly in my QTV Harley Cameron, and why don't we find her an opponent? And do you have any suggestions, Jacques? I said, well, there's Zoe Sager that was eliminated that I thought was really good. And I said there was Relentless Riley Rose that I really liked. You know, I like her. She's 17 years old and I like her. And then it's so funny because when I said that, QT looked at me and says, is that the young girl there that's 17 years old? I said, yes, it is. He says, that'll be perfect. So let's do that match then. So Harley Cameron faced Riley Rose, and they went up to all the expectations. And, you know, it was like I said, I thought I was going to see an artificial match, like, you know, where the looks and the walks and but no, they got down to business. Wait till you see the match next week when you see what a great entertainer she is. And Riley Rose, she just did, you know, she's been listening from last year. You know, she from the first time she wrestled, and I told her, I said, you know, Riley, I said, you got all the basic wrestling moves, but I said, you got to find some moves that bring you out of the load. Like, you know, you got to go up that top rope. You got to do something special. You got to get some signature moves, you know, and she lost the competition, and in the quarterfinals, she went home, and before you knew it, she was in the gym. She was climbing up them ropes. Came back in the semifinals, and she showed me, wow, she's really improving. When she came back in the finals, she was absolutely magnificent. And that match just came out so good. I can't wait for you guys to see Harley Cameron against Relentless Riley Rose. Her mom, Colleen, was so proud. She always comes from Edmonton. She flies into Montreal, follows her daughter everywhere. She's just such a great mom, encouraging Riley. And so she's got a great, great future. And I think what we need to keep in mind here that's so important is that Harley Cameron sat down with Riley Rose to put their match together the day of the show, contrary to all the others that we put on Zoom, and we work a couple of ideas like a couple of weeks ahead of time. So they went there the day, and guess who put their match together? QT Marshall. So, you know, what an honor for Relentless Riley Rose to have QT Marshall put her match together for her, and then for her to go and perform a beautiful performance. So QT Marshall will never forget Relentless Riley Rose. And that's one thing that Wrestling Academy will have brought to a young Canadian female wrestler, that hopefully now she'll get an opportunity someday, and an opening is going to happen somewhere. And they'll be sitting at a meeting, and QT Marshall's just going to say, hey, I know this young girl. And, you know, and Relentless Riley Rose will be on the roster of AEW.
That's just amazing to hear, and I'm very excited to watch that match. I want to offer you another name. I actually interviewed her, but I do hope that she actually comes back next year to Wrestling Academy 2024, and that's one Zandra Lee.
Oh my God, Zandra Lee, what a hit she was. But you know that something happened with Zandra Lee in the quarterfinals, that she stole everybody's heart. And then she came back in the quarterfinals and she did something like Chad Daniels did. And she did something like a little bit like Magnum did. She anticipated everything, but mostly like Chad Daniels. She wanted to rush everything. She was under the stress because as the competition got bigger and better, and as she got with the more talent and the prizes got closer to that $10,000 and the 3 months at the Nightmare Factory, you get nervous in situations like that. And when you're new in the business, it's something you got to cope with. And she did not cope well with that. She was rushing her moves. She missed 2 times going up the rope. She slipped but we talked after, because she did great moves in the ring. Her charisma is there. She has everything for her. She's really good. And I know for a fact that she will be back next year. And then now just to tell you about the last match, which was absolutely amazing. Bobby Sharp, who was chosen by QT Marshall to be the consolation prize this year, someone eliminated and then had to face QT Marshall, and it was the Lion Warrior Bobby Sharp from Edmonton. And I'll tell you something. Bobby Sharp had the most the most weird thing happen to him during the competition where he hurt his hip and like in the middle of the match, and then he repopped his hip back in, it was amazing. And then but he was eliminated by QT. So QT eliminated him. And then QT felt sorry for him. I remember him calling him after the competition directly at home. From Atlanta, he called him in his hotel room and he says, "Are you okay, Bobby? Are you okay?" And Bobby says, "Yeah, my hip's fine." So he says, "Okay." So then the next day, we talked, and then I called QT up. I said, "Okay, QT, have you made your mind up who you want to choose to wrestle for the ones that were eliminated in the men?" He says, "Who do you suggest?" I said, "Well, there's a couple of guys, but I said, Bobby Sharp is one that I thought he was unlucky in this competition. He just got unlucky. But I have a couple." And he says, "That's the guy I want." And before I had time to finish and name the others, he says, "That's the guy I want." And he came to Montreal, and he just brought the level of the competition. So that's why the competition's so good in Canada. But that's why it's so important to go to the Nightmare Factory, because now when I saw QT perform, I see the difference between the best Canadian talent and when you go to the big leagues. There's a little step higher. There's a little polishing there, a little finishing there. And we always say this in the business. I always prone by that. Less is more. A lot of guys, they want to do too much, too many things at the same time. Sometimes less is more. Do less, but do it well. And QT Marshall came out there, and that's what he showed everybody. He was a first-class act, and he just stole everybody's heart as a heel. He came out there, he puppeted everybody, he played with everybody's emotion. He was a good guy when he was a judge. He was a bad guy in the interview. He was a bad guy in the match, and he was a great guy at the end of the show. Everybody loved him. He just played the crowd every which way he wanted to. At a couple of times, it was just so amazing because my son was the referee in that match. And when it's his first year refereeing, although he wrestled many years for me and my family-oriented show, Emil was just the referee there. And it was so funny because he took Emil's temper. He's a tempered kid, boy, man, he's like, give him some Valiums or something, he's always like, blah, blah, blah. And, so he has that energy, crazy energy, in the ring. And QT used that. And at one point there, he got in my son's face, and blah, 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 and my son just gave him a double shot in QT's chest, and QT took a bump on his back, and he got right back up in my son's face, and my son went right back in his face like, "Hey, I'm the boss here," and then QT backed up. And the people popped. He just knew how to play the crowd. He knew how to play everybody. And then at one point, he was thrown out to the floor. Something amazing happened. Bobby Sharp threw him outside the ring, and when he got outside, Bobby Sharp asked a couple of kids to hold QT Marshall, a couple of kids to hold him arms, and then Bobby Sharp was giving him chops. And the kids were now entered in the match, and it was like, and then it was so funny because QT asked the kids, hold it. He turned it around, asked Bobby, and they wouldn't want to hold Bobby, because Bobby was the baby face, and all that stuff happened, and it was just an amazing performance by QT Marshall, and it was like an amazing night for all the wrestling fans, and it was like for me, it was the greatest night of Wrestling Academy in 2 years, and so this competition is just getting bigger, more fun, wilder. And it's like, I can't wait for next year to see because we have a couple of things now lined up where we're choosing something special for next year. I can't talk to you now about it. It'll be only in a couple of weeks, but there's something amazing that's coming to Wrestling Academy if it works out, because it's a gamble and we're always waiting for some answers, but we have sponsors involved in this and stuff like that. So now it's just a matter of being patient. But we're so excited, Natalie and I, of putting this competition together and seeing the fraternity of all the wrestlers from East Coast and West Coast and starting to be booked. Like, there's some wrestlers that are booked now on the East Coast, on the West Coast, and some on the West Coast that didn't even know that the promotion existed on the East Coast. And so everybody's becoming friends. I had a moment that was amazing. And actually, I had at one point, there was 3 times I met wrestlers this year, 3 times, great caliber wrestlers that met each other, and they got in front of each other and they say, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm so-and-so." And I looked at both of them and said, "You don't know each other? Like, you're both so good." Like, And so what a feeling for me just to think that Wrestling Academy is bonding a lot of companies together, bonding a lot of talent together, and having them work together. And so it's an amazing contest, Wrestling Academy.
Definitely is. Definitely is. So I just want to ask you a quick question. I know you got the thing coming in 2 weeks, and we're excited to hear what that is when it does come out. But are we structuring it the same way next year? Is it going to be the same way? Are you adding extra people?
I think I'm actually going to have less people next year, because like this last match, I didn't, when we stop and think about it, there was 1 against 1 and there was $10,000. And then there was 1 against 1, there was $10,000. And then there was 4 people in the ring and there was only 1 that could win out of 4. That wasn't fair. Natalie and I, we sat down after that, we analyzed it, we said, too much good talent. So we're going to go ahead and pick out the best of talent. So maybe next year, instead of having 34 competitors, we may just have 26 competitors. But, to make it that when we get to the finals, the 3 last matches for the $10,000 or more, depending what happens with the sponsors we're looking into, but the 3 last matches have a chance, 1 chance out of 2 to win. And so that's something that we are looking to change for next year. And it's a learning process, Ken. Because you create a monster like we're doing now, and Lord knows, we learned from the first season, and we're learning from the second season, and there's a few things we need to change around, and so we need to adjust, but we're always doing it in good faith. And we're always doing it, and some mistakes have been made. I'm not gonna lie, some things are gonna change next year, some things are gonna make better, but a lot of great things have been accomplished. So, when you build something, a company like this, and you build a competition like this, you're gonna have to make some adjustments, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna sit down now. I'm almost happy that it's finished with last week. We could breathe. We don't have to book airplanes or book hotels or book this or do that. And so now we could relax and analyze our project, really sit down and look at it. And then when it comes out next week, I'll be able to sit down and, just like a wrestling fan, sit in my big TV and watch the show, and then see what we could do better and what we could. So that's where we are now, Ken.
That's great. We are running out of time, unfortunately, Jacques. But I'm going to leave the floor open to anything you would like to add or mention during this interview.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Ken. Thank you for coming from Ontario and to participating in Wrestling Academy. Thank you for everybody Thank you for all the podcasters and then everybody, the media that shared this great competition. Thank you to the sponsors we made all that money possible to raise for the hotels, the airfares, and the prizes. And I want to thank Natalie, my rock. She is my rock. You have no idea. Here I am taking all the glory when she's my boss. And she's the one who's creating everything behind me. She's the best. And, thank you to all the competitors for trusting us. And thank you, QT Marshall, for what a great season we had. Such a generous kind of guy. Thank you for the Nightmare Factory. And just so, guys, watch out for the next 3-4 days from now. Go on lutteacademy.ca. So it's wrestling-academy.ca. Go, if you haven't seen the show, go start at the quarterfinals and you'll see the buildup. From the quarterfinals to the semifinals to the finals. What an amazing competition. And all this is for free. You're sitting at home and you'll be able to watch it for free.
That's great. I just want to give a shout out to my friend from my hometown of Stouffville, Ontario. This is Gunnar Lang, the Durham champion. Just wanted to show that off a little bit.
Is he any good?
Oh, he's a Durham champion, so he is pretty good, I believe.
That doesn't mean anything. I'm asking you, is he any good?
I think he's great. He's the
So then he
cowboy of
should join
Stouffville.
Wrestling Academy next year then.
I'll let him know. I hope Gunner's listening.
Unless he doesn't need the money or the advice there at the Nightmare Factory or whatever. But if is he an older
everyone
guy?
needs that.
How old is he?
He would be about 26.
Oh man, he's got to go. He's got to come to the competition. He's definitely at 26 years old. There's room to get better. That's for sure.
I agree. Now, everyone, this is unfortunately the end of the day. I want to thank Jacques Rougeau for coming on and talking about Wrestling Academy 2023 and what's coming up in the future. My name's Ken. I'm from Ken's Corner. And again, I'm with professional wrestler and Hall of Famer, Jacques Rougeau The Mountie.
Thank you.